Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Cassie Riva. I'm the events coordinator at an Unlikely Story bookstore in Plainville, Massachusetts. Before we start, I wanted to give you a couple of technical points. Any questions for Angie or Manon can be written in the question and answer box at the bottom of your screen. And if you'd like to buy this amazing book, there's a green button at the bottom of your screen that's going to take you right to our website. And when you purchase this book from an Unlikely Story, you're going to receive a signed bookplate signed by both Angie and Manon, as well as the first 5 people who order tonight are going to receive a trading card, a signed trading card from Manon, which is very cool. We only have 5 of those, so make sure you get those orders in ASAP. It is such a pleasure to introduce debut author Angie Bullaro and the first and only woman to ever play a game in the NHL, Manon Rhéaume. Angie Bullaro has been playing sports for about as long as she's been able to walk. She has also loved sports stories about underdogs and does a great job at telling the important story of Manon Rhéaume. Angie is now a proficient ice hockey goalie and an avid hockey fan. She is also an actress and film producer known for The Networker, an entertaining indie about family and redemption, and Between the Pipes, based on the incredible story of Manon Rhéaume, and the horror thriller movie Gut. She lives in New York City with her husband. Manon Rhéaume is a retired Canadian ice hockey goaltender and an Olympic silver medalist. When you think about women who worked hard to achieve their goals, Manon should be at the top of your list. She achieved numerous historical firsts during her career, including becoming the first woman to play in any of the major North American pro sports leagues. When she was just 12 years old, she was the first female goaltender to play for a boys' team in the 1984 Quebec International Pee Wee Hockey Tournament. Later, she was signed in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, one of Canada's top junior ice hockey leagues, for the 1991-92 season, becoming the first woman to play in a men's junior hockey game. In '92, Manon tried out for the Tampa Bay Lightning. This was the first time ever a woman's tried out for an NHL team. She played one period in an exhibition game against the St. Louis Blues and played in another exhibition game against the Boston Bruins in '93. Also in '92, Manon was selected for the Canada National Women's Ice Hockey Team. She won gold medals at the 1992 and 1994 IIHF Women's World Championship and was named to the All-Star teams both years. She won the silver medal at the 1989 Winter Olympics. Manon was signed by the Atlanta Knights of the International Hockey League. Her first appearance against the Salt Lake Golden Eagles marked the first time a woman appeared in a regular season professional game. She played for 7 different teams between '92 and '97. Now she resides in Michigan and coaches Detroit's Little Caesars under-12 girls hockey team. Tonight, Angie and Manon will discuss their new picture book, Breaking the Ice, inspired by Manon's true story of paving the way for women to be able to play professional hockey. This book is going to inspire young readers everywhere. Angie, Manon, I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Hey, Manon. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is so exciting. We love An Unlikely Story. This bookstore is the cutest thing ever. I wish we were all in Massachusetts in person and able to meet, but hopefully soon. Hopefully this time next year, we'll be able to do that. But you know what? I want everybody to go down to the polls. You'll see there's a poll and there's a number 1 there. We'd love to see where you're tuning in from. Are there any people from Massachusetts who are actually buying their book from An Unlikely Story? If so, let us know. But we'd like to see where everybody's from. So I'm going to take a look at that in a couple minutes. Actually, I'm now residing in Los Angeles, sunny Los Angeles. So I'm 3 hours behind all of you. And Manon, you're coming from?
From Northville, Michigan. I'm born and raised in Quebec City, where lots of snow, very cold, a little bit like Boston area, but now I'm in Michigan, so a little warmer here. Not like California.
Not like California. We did an event last week, and Manon showed this picture of her son in front of her parents' house, and the snow was as high as the roof. And so he's standing on the top of the snowbank, and he's taller than the roof. And I was like, okay, that's more snow than in Michigan and Massachusetts. So we'll give that to you. Quebec is a little crazy. But I'm so excited. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you to An Unlikely Story for having us. I really want to encourage everybody, if you're going to purchase the book, to go directly to An Unlikely Story. Like I said, not only is it the cutest little bookstore, but it is a local indie bookstore. And so I'm going to implore you, anytime you buy a book, whether it's this book or another book, to please support your local independent bookstores, especially now during the pandemic. They need your help and your love so, so much. And like Cassie said, if you purchase the book, or if you have purchased the book, you are going to get a signed book plate. And we had a bunch of trading cards that we were giving away, but all those are gone. So we have 5 left that Manon has so graciously offered to give to the first 5 people who purchased the book right now tonight. So if you want a signed trading card, make sure you pick that up. There's a link somewhere down there. Okay, so Manon, let's get into it. All right, everybody, just so you know, Manon's team, like they were talking about, she coaches girls 12 and under, the Detroit Red Wing team. They're in the playoffs, right? You guys are in the playoffs?
It's state finals, so it starts tonight.
Finals.
Yes.
That's so amazing. So they're in state finals. They have a game tonight. So she has to be off at 6:45. So we're going to talk till about maybe 6:30, and then we're going to give you plenty of time to ask your question. So if you have a question, put it in the ask the question box, not the chat box. That way Cassie can go through those really quickly. And we will get to all of those at the end. So definitely put your questions in. Now, I know this is exciting to get to share this. Breaking the Ice, also out in French, just came out in French a couple of months ago. But it didn't start. It did not start with the book.
Absolutely not.
It started with the movie. So as Cassie mentioned, we're actually, we're filming a movie about Manon, about Manon's story to the NHL. And this was, how many years ago did we start this, Manon?
Probably about 5 years ago. Actually, it was really strange because Angie contacted me and she was mentioning to me that she wanted to do a movie to really like with a female lead and inspire people. And she left her phone number for a contact number. And it was an area code from Michigan. And I'm thinking to myself, she's mentioning she's from New York, she's an actress, and she wants to do this movie, but the phone number is from Michigan. So I thought something was weird there. I got to find out that when I finally meet her, she was actually from Michigan originally, never changed her number, moved to New York, become an actress, producer, and so she was for real.
I had to keep representing my hometown to all my Michiganders out there. Thanks for joining. Yeah, that's actually, it took me a really long time to get in contact with you. And I think part of that was because she really thought I was a scammer. And then we met and everything was fine. But I found her story because my husband and I own a production company, and we wanted to tell a sports story, and we wanted something inspiring and something that I could be the lead of. And I remember, now I don't know if my dad's on right now. If my dad is on, he's about to tell you that this did not happen. But when I was a kid, I remember hearing about this woman maybe playing in the NHL. Well, it turned out it was Manon, but at that time I didn't know it. And so I remember asking my dad if women play in the NHL, and he's like, oh yeah, they play in NHL. They're just usually goalies. So I went my whole life thinking there were all these women playing in the NHL. And so I was like, you know what? What if we found the story of that first woman who played in the NHL? And my husband's a huge hockey fan. And he's like, I didn't know women played in the NHL. And I was like, oh yeah, all the time they played in the NHL. So I'm just like, tossing this around like it's a real thing. And so then I started to research, and it turned out there were not all of these women. There was just the one woman, and it was Manon. And so I was like, oh, this is even better. So I'm researching, and my husband's like, you guys look alike. And I was like, nah, we don't look alike. No, whatever. But then found out she lived in Michigan, not far from where my parents live. And so we went to visit my folks and set up that meeting. And Manon, what was it like that first time we met?
It was kind of weird because we met and, dark hair, long hair, we kind of looked like, and not necessarily like physically, but the way we talk, our stories. And when you start telling me your story about becoming an actress and people that didn't believe that was a good idea, that you should be doing something else, and how much you keep going, and you didn't let those people stop you to continue to follow your dreams. And I'm like, this is exactly what I went through. playing
Yeah.
hockey with the boys, and nobody believed that I could do it. So it's really when we start to connect, like both our stories start to connect, and more you were talking about what you want to do with the movie, more I was like involved with it and wanted to be part of it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Manon and I don't think we look that much alike, but everywhere we go, people think that we're sisters. The number of times people have asked for my autograph, thinking that I'm Manon, I'm like, yeah, I'll give you my autograph. I'm like, I'm not Manon Rhéaume, but I will give you my autograph. It's
the
really
best thing too, I got someone that sent me a bunch of pictures to sign through the Detroit Red Wings, and one of them was a picture of you in the bunch of picture, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh, they really think we're the same person.
Oh my gosh. So you can go ahead and sign my name on that and as you, and like I sign your name on yours. That's so funny. I love that they added that. Well, let me show, actually, okay, I'm going to try and share my screen right here. So here are some pictures of us. This is, well, let me start with our hockey pictures. So obviously I had to learn to play hockey. Are you guys... This is a little different than Zoom, so everybody bear with me. Can you see it now? Is it full screen? Okay. So I've been learning to play hockey. I was not a big hockey fan, which is surprising growing up in Detroit in the 90s with Osgood and Yzerman and Shanahan and all these great hockey players, but we were a baseball family. So one of the first things we did is we had to, you know, kind of get to know, I had to kind of get to know how to play hockey. Obviously had an amazing coach in Manon. If you look down to your bottom right, and this is when we're like, okay, I guess we look a lot alike. That is Manon. Actually, let's see if you guys can figure out which one's Manon and which one's me. One of those two is one each of us. And in between us is Phil Esposito. And Phil Esposito is a reason why Manon got to go down to Tampa Bay. Let me get out of this. He was general manager of the Tampa Bay Lightning and saw Manon. Oh, wait, guys, can you still see it?
Yes.
All right. Oh, I'm just going to keep that picture on. I didn't realize that we could do that. Oh, learning something new all the time. Okay, so Phil Esposito was a general manager of Tampa Bay Lightning, saw Manon playing, did not know Manon was a girl. The scout that showed him footage just showed a goalie, and Phil said he's a little small, but he has great reflexes and moves quickly. Invite him to camp, and then found out that this goalie was a girl. And Phil, just being amazing, was like, even better, bring her down. So that's Phil Esposito there, and that is proof. Can anybody tell the difference between the two of us?
You know, in those pictures, Angie, you look like a goalie, but I have to tell the story the first time you ever show up on the ice, because that's the funny one. So my son Dylan, who's a goalie, had several pair of pads and gloves and equipment. So I told Angie, I'm going to bring you the gear. You don't have to worry about gears, and we're just going to teach you how to play goalie. And she texts me back, great. Do you think I need a sweatshirt to put over my gear? And as soon as she said that, I showed the text to my son, and we're thinking to ourselves, this is going to be a long practice. And sure enough, we showed up there. She had no clue how big the equipment was. She didn't know that she can actually fit in the hockey bag where all the goalie equipment is. She couldn't believe it. She thought we carry like 3 sets of equipment in that bag. I said, no, this is just yours. And then I had to dress her up. Like it was my little
like a 5-year-old. I mean, Manon was like, okay, put your right arm here, your left arm here. I was like, she was strapping my leg in. Oh my gosh, that was but I you know what, my goal that practice was not to fall. Like that was it. All I kept telling myself, I was like, I don't care what else happens as long as I don't fall on the ice, which I did not fall on that. Wait,
yeah, she didn't stop a lot of pucks that first time, but she did not fall, and that was key. And right there, we thought to ourselves, Dylan and I, okay, we have hope here. We can do something with her.
I do have to defend myself with the sweatshirt. Are there any other hockey players out there? I mean, I had no idea what you're supposed to wear over hockey equipment. And then I was like, what if I show up and I'm supposed to have, you know, something on over my equipment? And so, yeah, apparently, though, that's very silly. When Manon tells that story to young hockey players, oh my gosh. The little kids just think that's the funniest thing ever, of having a goalie with a sweatshirt on. Learn something new all the time. Yeah, so we've just been having, Manon, we've been having so much fun together. I think the more time we've spent together, the more we've become like, the more it's harder to tell the two of us apart. My poor husband is usually the one on set with the two of us when we're filming things, and the loudness, the talking, the hand movements, everything is very similar. And he's like, oh my gosh, it's like I have two wives. So yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. This came out of all of that. So we were working on the film, and we were probably a couple years in. And I write children's books. I had been writing children's stories for a long time, didn't have anything published. And a couple of my critique mates had encouraged me to tell the story. I actually think one of them's on there. I see Hannah. Hannah, thank you for being one of the ones that encouraged me to write this. But I thought, oh my gosh, I don't write nonfiction. So I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to write the story. I didn't know how to tell her story in a children's book that wasn't just going to be facts. And it's really crazy because I think back on it now, and this was just very much outside of my comfort zone to write a biography. And I think about what would have happened if I didn't do it. Well, I know what would have happened. Nothing would have happened. And how many times we stop ourselves from doing things or don't try things, right? Because they're outside of our comfort zone. And we just then don't know all the amazing things that could happen. And I feel like, Manon, particularly with your story, I mean, your whole story is about living outside of your comfort zone, right? I mean, you were 5 years old playing that first game.
No, absolutely. And especially when I got invited to Tampa Bay, like so many people said to me, are you not afraid to look bad? You don't have the same experience that all the guys there. Those guys, you're playing against the best of the best. Right. You know, and I told myself, I don't want to have any regrets. I don't want in 10 years from now wondering what if. And so I went for it, and it didn't matter that I was not like what a goalie should look like. Normally you look at an NHL goalie, you know, I didn't have the size, I didn't have the same gender that all the players there. Yeah. And my English was not very good. I barely speak English, but I didn't let all of that stop me. I went for it, and I'm glad because it changed my life.
Absolutely. I mean, especially the Tampa Bay training camp, because there was also a lot of negativity around that for you of why you were invited and why you were going. And I think that could have stopped you, right? You could have been like, well, I don't want to look like a publicity stunt. I don't want to be this. I don't want to that. Whatever reason. I mean, people were saying all kinds of crazy things, and you just tuned that out and you just kept following your dream. And then, oh my gosh, you just kept going and doing all these amazing things. So it's just such a lesson in having that courage to step outside of your comfort zone, and also the ability to block out the naysayers, because guys, haters gonna hate. So you gotta just let them do your thing. Don't let them stop you. But so this was illustrated by C.F. Payne, such an amazing illustrator. We got very lucky to have him come on board. He's done incredible work. He's done a lot of children's books. He did Obama on the cover of Time. I mean, this was really amazing to have him. And I have to say that we actually never met him. He never met Manon. We sent a bunch of pictures to him, and obviously he did a bunch of research. But having never met Manon in person and not knowing her personality, there is an illustration in here that I swear he had to have known you. This is one of my favorite illustrations. She's laughing. She already knows where I'm going with this. This is one of my favorite illustrations. This look Manon still gives today. I have seen this look every time I want to like go to a restaurant and go eat instead of go shopping. This is the look Manon gives me. I love it. And I think that's what's so amazing about him, is his ability to really capture you and your spirit. And I have to say, I mean, that's my favorite just because he got your personality so much. But my absolute favorite is this one. You in your jersey. Oh my goodness, in your goalie gear, the crowd behind you. I love Phil right here. This is also such Phil's personality. But I also love the scope of this, that you are, you know, kind of by yourself in front of everybody, because a lot of your journey was punctuated by you being alone and doing things by yourself. And I know we've talked a lot about the loneliness of you having to have your separate locker room and not getting to be a part of the team in that way. And I think this really captures it. But more than anything, I just love that you have a professional jersey on. So amazing. We got to get Tampa to make those jerseys again and put your name on it. I know that one I showed was one of your favorites. What's another one of your favorites illustrations from here?
It's the one at the dinner table with my parents. Actually, that was the breakfast table. I saw the box of cereal there, and put like a Montreal Canadian logo on it, which in Canada, you got Montreal everywhere. Back then, it was a Quebec Nordics for me. Oh, I did notice that. That was something that we would see all the time in Quebec.
Right there, the Canadians. That's amazing.
That illustration for me, that's really the start of playing hockey. That's when I said to my dad, why not me? I always play with my brother here, and I know he was looking for a goalie for a tournament, and that's really how he got started. It's me telling him, I want to be your goalie.
Yeah, at 5 years old, which amazing. I think that's when you have to start skating though, right? Like you need to be on skates by 5 years old because skating is so difficult. I mean, you're a tremendous skater.
Actually, people start skating earlier than that now. Both my boys start skating at 2.5 years old.
What? So they learn how to walk, and then they walk right into their ice skates, and they're right on the ice.
That's easier that way.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Well, I think what's crazy about hockey is that any other sport you play, except for maybe water polo, maybe that one, but we're going to take that out. Any other sport you play, you run, right? And you already know how to run. You know how to run, you know how to walk. So you're just learning to play that sport. But in hockey, you have to learn to skate and you have to learn to play the sport. So you're like learning two sports at one time. And man, you watch hockey players and it's awe-inspiring. It's so beautiful. It's so graceful. So to think about that too, of you also picked this incredibly difficult sport and this incredibly macho sport, right? Like, you kind of picked the manliest of all the sports. What was that like? I mean, what was it like for you going in at such a young age and playing this and being the only girl?
I grew up with two brothers. So, and every time I wanted to play with them, I asked them to play with them. They said, okay, fine. We're going to dress you as a goalie and we need to practice our shot. Let's go in the backyard. My dad used to do an ice rink in the backyard every winter. And they would shoot pucks at me. So they were kind of using me. I was their target. Now today you got some shooter-tutor like that you put in front of the net. I was a shooter-tutor for my brothers. So
shooter-tutor?
Is that that's how you call it? Shooter-tutor. Like you put a goalie and it's like a big, like that blocks the whole net and it's got holes you can try to shoot at. So that's what I was doing for my brother, basically. Because I never saw a girl playing at the rink, and me and my mom would go watch my brother at the rink play, and we'd come home and I would play with them. So that's when my dad asked, I don't know which boys to pick for the next tournament. Nobody wants to be the goalie. And I said, why not me? And I got started. And at first, I remember my dad had to put a helmet on my head to make sure that nobody knew I was a girl. He didn't want the people to judge me. Like because I was a girl, he wanted the people to judge me with my performance. You know what he was doing long time back then.
Your dad is a very wise man. I love your dad. I spent a couple weeks with Manon's parents maybe 2 years ago and was just getting to know where she lived. I was taking French classes and accent classes and playing hockey. And Manon, your parents are so amazing. Her dad speaks almost solely French and I speak about this much French. But somehow we had these amazing conversations and I got what he was saying and I don't know how. So maybe some of it I just thought was what he was saying. So I guess we'll never really know. But
you got to get to know things that I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like I cannot believe all the story that my parents told you and never told me. Like the things that people would say or the things that player would do to me. And that was pretty amazing. You spending 2 weeks there, I learned more about myself.
It really is true. Nowadays, if we ask something, Manon will be like, Angie, is that correct? And I'm like, yes, that did happen at that time in your life, Manon. I'm like, I know more about your story than you do. Actually, one of the stories your dad told me that you had never told me when we were going through, just learning about your stories to get everything ready for the script and for the book, is you were playing against this guy who went on to become an NHLer. You weren't at that age yet. And at the end of the game, the lines were crossing and everybody was shaking hands or hitting gloves, whatever it is that they do. And the guy punched you in the stomach in the line. And that was one of the moments where I was like, I must not be understanding him correctly. I really was like, I don't think I got his English. I think I'm misunderstanding that. And then your mom, she speaks English well. And she was like, no, that's what happened. And then I remember telling you, like, oh yeah, that did happen. Like you hadn't even thought about that for so long, which I think also just shows what an experience for you and how much you were just so used to that. You were so used to this negativity and all that you really just blocked it out and didn't let it sit on you, didn't let it affect you, which I think is really extraordinary.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I remember that game, he was on a breakaway and I made this big save and we end up winning the game and he was so frustrated. And when he punched me, for me, I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to complain about it because I loved the game so much. I wanted to play. And I know it was different to be a female on a team. And I didn't want people to say, no, we don't need her. She's causing problem. And I was not causing problem. The other players would do things.
Right.
But I didn't want to complain. I was just saying nothing and kept going and kept playing.
Well, and you even said that when you played, so Manon's had a ton of firsts, like a ton. It's crazy. She was the first girl to ever play in the Quebec International PB tournament, which is like the tournament. All the greats in hockey have played at this tournament at this age. And the rules had to be changed to let her in because the rules specifically said it was for boys only. So the rules had to be changed. You were what, like 11, 12 years old when this happened. And you go to this game. That's a first. Then you were the first woman to play in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. I mean, hockey has so many acronyms, but I'm getting at them. That was when you were like 17, 18, right? And you're the first. This is basically the QJMHL, I think I said it correctly, is like the step before the minors. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like in between. It's a young players. So that's when the NHL team starts scouting all those players to be drafted. So they either play in the Quebec Major League or Ontario, or like in the US, it's the USHL or in college hockey. So it depends which route you're taking. Every route is different.
And you were the first woman, the first female to ever do that too. And I remember you played in the game and you said, so your mask cracked. Somebody hit like a crazy shot at your mask and cracked your mask, and it just this enormous gouge over your eye, and there was blood everywhere, and you had to leave to go get stitches. And I remember you saying that people even then were like, well, it's because she's a girl.
This is my favorite of all time, because when I got that slap shot, actually, I didn't even know that my eye was cut, and I kept playing. And I kept playing, and all of a sudden, and I had like, I thought it was sweat coming out down my face, and exactly what I was doing, and I was shaking my head. So every time I was shaking my head, the blood was going all over me.
Oh my God.
So then when the play stopped, I looked down and I see blood on the ice, see blood on my jersey. So I had to go to the bench, and that's when they told me, you cannot keep playing, we need stitches. And the next day I couldn't even see, my eyes was all puffy and swelling. And I did an interview, and that was a comment of one of the reporters. This is why women should not play hockey. And then I was thinking to myself, really? Because if it was a man there, the helmet would never broke. It only broke because I was a female.
Obviously. So, the helmet knew you were a female, and it broke. If you were a man, that totally wouldn't have happened. Which, it's, again, you just rose above all of that and you didn't let it stop you. And I think that's what makes your story so special. And I think that's what makes it really powerful as a children's book, because like you were talking about when you were younger, you didn't see other girls playing hockey. And when we don't see other people doing things, people that look like us, people that are similar to us, we think then maybe we can't do that. And so for kids to see, girls and boys, to see a woman doing this is something that they're not supposed to do. It then tells them like, wait, I can do that too. I can do that, or I can do anything else that I want to do. For me, when I was a kid, I wanted to act, but we didn't know any other actors. I wanted to write. I didn't know any writers. I didn't even know I could be a writer. So that was something I didn't even know till later, because we just didn't know anybody. And it was really hard to hold on to my dreams when everybody else, and I love what you said about why not me. We're like, why you? Well, why do you think you can be an actor? There's, so few actors. Why do you think you can do it? And that's what really connected with your story is you were like, well, why not me? And I think that message translates across the board. Whatever your dream is, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever that impossible chase is that people tell you can't do, your story basically is like, no, you can do it. Keep doing it. I do want to read. I see that it's already, I was going to say 3:30. It is 3:30 here, 6:30. This is always the hard part for Manon. We try to keep this short. We're not even like halfway through the things that we wanted to talk about. You know what? I was going to read a little bit from the story, but I do want to show everybody because I got them and they're really great. I want to show you some pictures of Manon from Tampa Bay. So let me just grab a couple of these. Hold on here. So this one, you can just also see how young she is. And let me put it into full screen. Okay, can you see it, Manon?
Yep.
So I love these ones because you see how young and how small you are, and yet you're playing against these enormous guys, pucks coming 100 miles per hour at your face, and you crushed it. You crushed it. You had the third best stats at the training camp at Tampa Bay Lightning. And you had goalies there like Wendell Young, who had a championship ring from the Stanley Cup. I mean, these are not nobodies. You had such amazing talent there and you were able to hold your own. I also just love anytime I see you in your jersey. And then I want to show one more because what's crazy is this isn't even, all right, hold on guys. Let me see if I can do this. Manon playing at Tampa Bay wasn't even the only amazing thing she did. She also went to the Olympics. The first year women's hockey was an official sport at the Olympics. And you told me something last week that I didn't know about Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, that was the first time women hockey was at the Olympics, but it was also the first time the NHL players was playing in the Olympics. So Wayne Gretzky was there for Team Canada. You saw a picture there. And when we played in the final, all the Team Canada men's team, so Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux, and I think Marty Brodeur was there, and Patrick Roy, and all those players were there at our game, cheer us on for our game. And it's probably the most amazing moment, knowing that you represent your country, you play an Olympic game, and you have all those great NHLers cheering for you. That was amazing.
I mean, it's double whammy there. Just being at the Olympics alone is truly an incredible feat. But then, like you said, to have the NHLers there and cheering you on and watching you, I just love this picture of you and Gretzky, especially in your matching Canadian outfits. I mean, that's amazing. And then the picture down here, I only recently saw of you and your teammates with the silver medal, which is amazing. Where is that silver medal? I've been meaning to ask you this. Where do you keep your silver medal?
It's in the safe somewhere.
Oh, you don't have it out? You don't have it?
No, I don't. You know, I move so much and always have to. I just like put it away and that's what I do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm glad it wasn't like up on eBay. You see
No, that's not mine if you see one there.
Yeah. Okay. You see it. It is not actually hers. All right. I wanted to read a little bit from the book, but I want to make sure everybody can get their questions in for Manon. So I'm not going to read from the book. I am just going to say, I think children's books are, oh, this is the back of it. Let me show you. Oh, this is the back. I think children's books are one of the best gifts you can get for people of all ages. You know, they say everything you learn in life, you learn from kindergarten. It's absolutely true. And you learn them from children's books because they just have such wonderful messages. So this is also a great gift. I've given it to a couple people who are graduating from college. I've given it to people who are new things in life. So pick it up. Don't forget, if you buy one today, you are going to get a signed book plate. Put signed book plate in the little note section. And the first 5 people who bought one got a trading card today. So that's also super exciting. Also, it's a trading card of Manon from when she's a kid. Like, who has a trading card of themselves as a kid? I think that's so wild. But we are 4 minutes over what I wanted. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to open up. Oh, I completely forgot to look at the polls. Folks, I'm all over the place. Let's see where we are. Oh, we have 6 people from Massachusetts. Oh my gosh, please go to An Unlikely Story. They're in Plainville and pick up the book and anything else there. That store is so cute. We have, quite a few people from the US and not as many people from Canada. I'm surprised. Usually we have a really large audience from Canada. But girls hockey is the fastest growing team sport in the U.S. So I'm not surprised we have so many people from the U.S. Now, I swear I'm done. If anybody has a question, go ahead and put it in there in the ask a question. I know that Cassie was also looking through. So Cass, I'll have you jump back on.
Great.
If you want to ask some questions.
Excellent. We only have one so far, so please write in your questions. This is from Ellie and Katie. They're hockey sisters. One is a goalie, she's 9, and the other one is 11, and she's in defense. They play for a mixed team, and they want to move to an all-girls team, and they want to know what you think about that and when is a good age to do that.
I think it all depends where you live. Some area, if you're a girl hockey player and you're more advanced and you don't have a lot of girls team, sometimes playing with the boys a little longer, it's good. But for example, here in Michigan, we had so many girls hockey players. So you can play at a young age with an all girls team and really continue to develop your skills. And I think it's so important to the camaraderie in the locker room and be able to have go in the tournament and just hang out in a hotel room with the friends and talk about girls stuff. But when you get on the ice, you're a hockey player and having fun. So I really encourage, if you have good girls hockey around your area, to join a girls team earlier. Sooner than later, it's always better for me.
Well, Manon, you talked about too, and I know we touched a little bit on it, that when you were playing with the guys, when you started off as a young kid, nobody was really in the dressing rooms anyway. But then as you got older, then, you had to have your own dressing room. Dressing room.
Locker room.
The actor in me, I'm calling it dressing room. The locker room. The locker room, right? And you talked a lot, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, about being the only girl and having your own space and having your own hotel room. And
yeah, when I was playing with the men, I not only had my own locker room, but I had on the road, I was by myself. I would go breakfast, lunch, dinner, always by myself. And it was more difficult. And it was really cool going back to the national team and play with a group of women and be able to be in the locker room and listen to everybody's story and just having the vibe of getting ready for a game when everybody is focused and thinking about the game or talking about the game instead of just being dressing by myself. And I had some different locker room. Some rink, it was great. I had great locker room, but some rink, they didn't have locker room. So they would put a chair in a woman's bathroom and I would get dressed in a woman's bathroom because that's the only extra locker room they would have. So some of them were not the greatest locker room for me.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I mean, it's nice to know that from the time you were playing in the 80s and the 90s, that women's hockey has advanced. Thank goodness. There are female teams at a young age. Girls can play in college, go to the Olympics. We're working on a professional team. It still has a long way to go, just having equity in pay and sponsorship and ice time and all of that. But at least there has been such a development from when you played, right?
Oh, absolutely. I remember, obviously, they had no girls when I started playing hockey. But even when at some point, when they didn't want me anymore at the highest level on the men's side for 2 years before going to the junior, I played in a women's league. And I remember I was in Montreal, so I had to drive 2.5 hours to go there. But because we were women, our ice time was 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock at night. After the boys, after the men, the leftover ice time, they were, giving it to the women. Not for free. We still had to pay to play. But
that's after driving 2.5 hours there for that late of a game.
Yes, I would come back home at 3 a.m. sometime just to be able to play a hockey game.
That's crazy. That's really crazy. So yes, that's a problem. You're not going to play at your best at midnight as you are, earlier in the day. All right, I see some more questions, Cass. You want to hit them?
Yes. Caroline would like to know, how do you deal with losing a big game?
That's a great question. The thing that I learned playing the position as a goalie, it's you need to be able to erase right away. It's okay to be upset. If you're not upset, it's you're not enjoying what you're doing. Because as a goaltender, you need to like the pressure. And the reason you pick goalie, it's to be able to make a difference in a game. Goaltender can win you a game or lose you a game too. So it's to be able to block it off and move on. That's the most important thing, because nothing you can do from the past. You can only, and I used to say, focus on the thing you can control. When the game is over, nothing else you can do to change that. But what you can do is change, with maybe work on the things you did wrong during that game to prepare for the next game. So that's what you can control, your preparation for the next game. And if you focus on that and forget the loss, that's the best way to bounce back from a bad game or a big loss.
That's such great advice. I think that's just great advice across the board too, right? Because there are always going to be setbacks. There are always going to be time we're not going to perform at our best, or we're going to lose or not get the audition, or, whatever it is. And you can focus on that, and then that just makes everything more negative and makes it harder to come out of it. Or you can be, like you said, focus on what I control, work harder, do better next time. What do I need to change to do better, and keep going? And I think that proves why you had such a long and successful career, because you were able to keep focusing on moving forward and doing better next time. That's a really great question. Let's see, we got another one.
This next one's from Audrey. She's 7 and she plays hockey, and her coach says she should play other sports too. What other sports do you play that help you become a better hockey player?
That's a great advice your coach gave you, because I totally encourage every one of my players to play multiple sports. And it doesn't matter what sport it is, just to have different muscle moving, and just the more sports you play, better an athlete you become. And your muscle, it's work a different way. And it's good too for injury, to have less injury, because when you do the same thing over and over again, and all of a sudden you do something different, that's when, your body has a hard time to react to that. So that's important. In the sports, when I was young, I played baseball, I was competing in alpine ski, and I played hockey. That was my 3 sports. And so that helped me. But now my boys, I encourage them. I signed them up to soccer, and my youngest one did football, and they play golf, and they play roller hockey, and it's all good for their ice hockey.
Yeah, that's such great advice. That's so true.
In your career, who was the hardest shot to stop?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't think anybody's ever asked that.
No, it's a great question. I have to say, when I went to camp in the NHL, I did not know how hard they would shoot until I faced them for the first time. And, it was really amazing, because when I went to camp in the NHL, my second year, I did an NHL camp. And then I went down to the IHL, which is the first farm team. And then I went down to the ACHL, where I play all year long. And I saw the 3 level of shots. From the NHL, you can feel the puck through your equipment, even through your pads, which I thought it was amazing. Like, it was this thing, no matter where it was hitting you, you can feel it. Then you go to the next level. You can feel it, but not all the time. And then you go to the next level, and it's more like what I was used to, that you don't really feel it as much. So it was just amazing to see how great those NHL players and how hard they were shooting. And I can tell you, I had a lot of bruises.
Well, and you had this thin chest protector that we can't even call a chest protector, that you had from when you were peewee, right? That your dad, I saw it when I was in Quebec, and it had like duct tape around it, and there was like extra pieces of plastic that he had added to it. And I felt like if I touched it, it was just going to disintegrate in my hands, because it was so thin. And I didn't realize until I started learning to play goalie and got new equipment, and the equipment's like, oh my gosh, it's so big. The chest protector is enormous. But compared to yours was like wearing a t-shirt, and that's what you were wearing playing against the NHLers.
Yeah, I remember coming to camp, and the first day they had this huge chest protector. They were so worried that I would get hurt, and they got me this big, huge chest protector. The problem of being a female and a smaller goalie, those chest protector, I couldn't move in there. I'm like, no way, I'm wearing this. I need to be able to move, because obviously my strength is not my size. My strength is like how quick I am and how I can read the play. So I need to be able to move. And I kept those shoulder pads, and when I was peewee, because I didn't really grow that much more, But I remember after each practice, the trainer would grab my equipment and had a padding to it where I had a huge bruise and another one. So by the end of the training camp, my chest protector was a little bit more protective than when I started.
A little bit. Well, amazing. Well, I know you have to rush off to your game, so I want to make sure that you're not late. I'm sending lots of congratulations and excitement to your girls. I hope they play super well today. Thank you so much for joining us, Manon. It has really been such an honor and a pleasure to get to tell your story. You can learn more about her story in the book. There's a really fun afterword by Manon and a timeline, and lots of fun stuff there. Cassie can tell you more about that at An Unlikely Story.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
It's very rare when we get to have the person who's the story is inspired by. So thanks so much.
Well, thank you for, go ahead, Manon, you can go. Thank you for, good luck with the girls. To An Unlikely Story for having us. Thank you everybody for tuning in at dinner time, or if you're on the West Coast in the middle of your workday. We really appreciate it. You can follow us on social media so you can keep up with the movie and the book, where we're going to be next. More of our videos of the web series Manon and I did, Since We Can't Play Hockey. We have a new one dropping this week. So follow us at betweenthepipesmovie.com, on Twitter, on Instagram. Manon and I are both on there. And thank you to An Unlikely Story. This was wonderful. We hope to meet you in person sometime soon.
Yes, hopefully next year. Thank you for doing this during Women's Month.
Yes, absolutely.
Extra special. Make sure you pick up a copy of this. Click that green button and order it. And if you already have a copy, buy a second copy and donate it to your child's library.
Yes.
Spread this story around, because it's so some little girl is going to read this book and be so inspired by it. And when you order it tonight, hopefully we still have some left. You're going to get a signed book plate, and 5 very lucky people are going to get this card signed by Manon from, it looks like, when she was 12 years old, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Angie. This was fantastic.
You're welcome.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.